on the track right now.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hello,
Welcome.
everyone's.
We want to welcome everybody to another episode of
hmm
Marriage is Real with your host. I'm Damien.
And I am Jamie.
We just want to thank you guys for tuning in again for another week of the podcast. We've been doing this for how long now? We started in November.
I don't know. I
November?
don't remember.
Or was it January?
I think it's been 6 months. I think it's
It's been like
January.
6 months.
Yeah.
So it's July. So we've been doing a podcast about 6 months. So you guys are seeing the audio, but this is actually a visual podcast. You get to see us, but the content is available on Spreaker, Apple Music, iHeartRadio. And I told you this. We got a lot of people that listen to that download our content in India.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't
Why you
remember.
acting like this
I
new
don't remember you telling
information?
me this.
A lot of our listeners are in India. I was just like, what? I can't believe it, but that's so cool. So thank you guys for tuning in for another week.
Welcome back. And to those that are new, welcome. You're welcome once. You're welcome twice. You're welcome.
She say that all the time. So
Southern Baptist.
we just hope everybody had a great weekend, that y'all got y'all barbecue in and did everything you needed to do. I got a chance to work on my new grill this weekend, and you need a dictionary, a thesaurus, and an encyclopedia to work these new grills. It's just ridiculous. I didn't realize. I did research on the product itself, but I didn't do everything else that to know how to operate it as capacity, because it's Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and it's got meat thermometers built in and all kinds of stuff. It ain't the old school grill where you just put the charcoal in and just go in your wood. It's a whole different. It's scientific now.
I don't
different.
grill, so I wouldn't know.
Okay, so it's been about almost 5 minutes now. So I guess we'll go ahead and jump in on our topic. Now, this is one of those topics that we talk about from time to time, and we're just going to hit it again. It's a topic that is very controversial in 2022. A lot of people are not with it. A lot of people find it to be very taboo, very part of the patriarchy.
Yes.
And it's the big S word. And we're not talking about sex. Usually when you hear the S word, it's usually sex, but no, not this time. We are talking about none other. Thank you. That's what I was trying to say. Submission. So we talked to one of our coaches in training, our son, and so I would not be surprised if that ends up being his second career. But he found this clip online of a couple of people. One of the young ladies' names is Shan Booty, and she was interviewing this young lady. I think her name is Jazzy, and so they got on the subject of submission. And so we've done a few lives and things like that on the topic of submission. So we just decided, let's stay relevant and with the times and with the culture. And so what we're going to do right now, we're going to play the clip. It's a couple of minutes long, but we're going to share the screen so you guys can see the clip. And then after that, we'll get into the topic and give y'all the Marriage is Real version of what submission is. So let me.
And no shade to anybody.
No.
These are just our own opinions, our views.
Yeah.
No shade to anybody. But I know that this is something that even on Facebook, even in some of the marriage groups and stuff like that we're a part of, a lot of people have been talking about this, and I didn't know what it was. And then, like you said, Jordan said something.
Coach
like,
Johnson.
Let me. So I'm like, let's look into that. So just being that this is something that's trending right now, we decided, hey, let's run that back.
Yeah.
So,
and before we do that, I just want to give a special thanks to my wife. I want to tell you how I appreciate you and I value you so much more than you know. I'm gonna put on blast real quick, y'all. She hasn't been feeling well today, and she is just being a trooper because if anybody knows me, I'm all about making sure she's good. So if she ain't good and she not feeling it, I'm like, yo, we'll put on a repeat, put on an old record or something, the old VHS tape. But I just wanted to tell you thank you for being a trooper tonight.
I appreciate
And
you.
I'm gonna give you a special massage this evening.
Don't say that.
She
Because
don't
if you
like
go to
for
sleep
me.
before me, I'm gonna be real mad.
But no, I just wanted to tell you I really appreciate you jumping in here with me, and I'll make sure you're a happy camper later.
No, thank you.
Cool.
So y'all, I apologize if my energy is low today, but we in this thing. Let's get it.
All right, so let's go to this clip. Give me just a second to get it loaded up. Hold on.
You and I study you. Like, I know how you are in the morning. I know how you are about midday. I know when you're in this mood, what you need. Like, before you can, it is my joy. You know,
What does a submissive woman do for her man?
everything.
What does that mean?
You know, like packing his bag, unpacking his bag, just making sure all the things that he wants. And like, I pretty much read his mind. So it's like, if I know you and I study you, like, I know how you are in the morning. I know how you are about midday. I know when you're in this mood, what you need. Like, before you can ever ask me for something, I'm already on it. I mean, he's spoiled. And you know, when I talk to my girlfriends about it, I was like, oh, how you guys doing? And I'm just like, girl, he's rotten. I'm like, he's spoiled rotten. Like, he's rotten. But I love that. Like, I want him to be that. I think my biggest flex is how I treat my man. And I've been known. It is my joy. Know that dance. You better. It is my.
What does a submissive woman?
It is my joy. You know, I love to see him eating the meal that I cooked. I love seeing him sleep easy every night, like clockwork. I scratch this man's back to sleep. And I know when he's asleep because I can tell when his breathing changes. And some people might think that's psychotic, but that's like, I just know that's when I'm like, oh, I can stop now. But I find joy in being your rest, you know? So know what that means. And that works for us because he wants what I have to offer.
What are you getting from all that you're giving? What are you asking for in return?
It is know that dance. You better know that 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, dishes clean. 2, laundry. 3, whatever. Like, whatever that is to you, own what that is. I can only say what it is to me. But if you have a long day and you fight in the world, you will never come back and fight me. You will never come back and walk into a space that is not welcoming you.
Do you think that this is controversial in some capacity?
Absolutely. To some, it could be enabling. You know, and someone told me one time, they're like, you're enabling him. And I told him how that made me feel. And he was like, of course they're going to say that. They don't have nobody doing that for them.
How did it make you feel?
It made me feel like maybe I am. But at the same time, that's my love. So if you don't understand it, you know, it's not, I'm not loving on you for you to get it. That's how I love. And whoever I love is going to know that dance. You better.
Is the goal to acknowledge that you're one way or the other? Because in me acknowledging I'm very dominant, I know where I have to soften up. And in you acknowledging where you're submissive, you know where you have to get more assertive and aggressive.
Yeah.
So is the joyful place for everyone to get to the middle?
No, I don't think so. I don't think I want to get to the middle. I think that, and this goes to me studying my person. I have A+ in his studies because I just know him, you know. And then it's
Does
like,
he have an A+ in you?
I think so. I think so. I mean, I think I make it easy for a man to be with me because they don't have to do much. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, he does. He does because
Let's see.
All
Okay,
right,
there we go.
so that was the clip. That's what we're gonna talk about. So
Our apologies. We
yeah.
have some technical difficulties. It kept replaying.
I
but
kept hitting it with my finger, y'all. That's my bad. But y'all, you get to basically get the gist of the whole thing. So, did you want to say anything, or do you want to?
Started. You can go ahead.
So, I guess the first thing I would like to talk about is this. What isn't submission? What do you think? Because when we were having our specific conversations about this subject yesterday, the first thing you said was what?
What I say? Give me a
You
hand. I
said-
said a lot of stuff.
The
Give me-
first thing you said was, "That's not submission."
Oh, okay. I did say that.
I'm like, what?
I think the biggest thing for me as a woman, and I had to take some notes today, y'all, because like I said, I ain't all the way here today. But I think the biggest thing for me was in hearing that, and like I said, no shade to her, don't know the lady. Everybody's love language is different. Everybody's definition of what they feel like is submission is what that is. But the thing that I think that's missing in that whole thing is submission is a mutual submission. And I think the last clip was the most telling piece of the puzzle when there was a little reluctancy, when it was like, does he have an A+ in you? And she was just kind of like, well, then she said yes. But I think that's the piece that's missing, is that a lot of times we feel like as women, society, most people, we've learned that submission is basically being subjugated or subservient to menial chores. And chores is not submission. Submission to me is more of it's a mutual submission. If there's no mutual submission there, then even in one person being submission doesn't work. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think, again, to the point of what you said earlier, packing bags and doing stuff that doesn't necessarily mean submission, because just like we talked about last night, you could be doing all that stuff, cooking the meals, packing the bags, scratching his back till you go to sleep, knowing his breathing pattern. But then when he say, "Hey, we gonna do this," and you say,
I ain't doing it,
you ain't submitting. Just off the rip. Just because you're doing certain things for someone doesn't mean that that's what submission really is. And let me just take a step back here real quick. The first thing that we got to talk about and address about submission is that submission is a biblical principle.
right?
And so what we've got right now, what we have happening in the world right now is the world is trying to take biblical principles and apply them to non-biblical situations.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not here to preach or anything like that, but the facts are just the facts. The submission within marriage, and let me say that as well.
Right.
Submission within marriage is a biblical principle. So when you have women out here talking about pick-me's and what I'm not gonna do, when the patriarchy, and some of these people worship the sun,
Right.
and they worship the earth and all this
Right.
kind of stuff. So it's not even in this person to even know and understand what submission is.
Right.
And so I wrote down a quick definition of what submission is.
Right.
Submission is being selfless, selflessness, service, accountability, and respect for your partner. And just like what Jamie said, it goes both ways. We submit all day, every day, to different times, for different things, different times, and different situations,
Right.
all the time. So don't think it just goes, I tell you what to do and I do like this, because submission goes both ways. Because
Right.
really and truly, if you boil submission down, you know what it really means? It's just respect.
That's what I said earlier. Yes,
know what I'm
it's
saying?
having a mutual respect, really and truly. Submission, respect falls under the umbrella of submission, because you can't even have submission without respect. A
Right.
mutual respect, which is a mutual submission, is not about rank or hierarchy. Y'all excuse me, but I'm looking at my phone because we miss comments every week that don't come up. So I'm checking over here too. But it's not about like hierarchy. It's about, how we, a lot of times, again, is how we were taught. But if you think about that, men have used submission as a justification for rape and sexual abuse. So really and truly, when you look at how people view submission, there's a negative connotation because there's really not a true understanding of what it really means. And then you said something earlier about submission being service. And so, you know, somebody could say, well, all that stuff she was doing was service, like packing his bag, unpacking his bag, you know, scratching his back, all of the things. And that is, you know, a part of it, but that's not just all it's about. And then everything that we heard, and I know those were like sound bites and they were clips, and I hadn't went and watched the whole interview because I think it's extremely long, but just from those clips, it was mostly, hey Ben, it was mostly just, you know, tasks and tangible chores and things like that. And so it's just, you know, making sure that we understand that submission is a mutual thing. And most of the time when we hear people talk about submission, you don't hear that piece of it. You just always hear about the woman being subjugated to whatever he says to do. And that's not even realistic. You know what I'm saying? Right.
That's good. And so even, I think the verses in Peter or something like that. And it talks about, right before it talks about the woman being submissive, right? The verse before that, right, says something about the man being submissive.
It says submit yourselves one to another.
Yeah, but before that, it talks about the responsibility of a man being submissive. So it's not that God is just telling a woman to do this stuff, because honestly, our first responsibility as men is to show submission as we submit to God first.
But then too, you have to understand that there is a submitting of your will one to another, to each other. Certain things he'll submit on, certain things she will submit on. It's just not you make all the decisions, you got the final say about everything. That's not real, because really and truly your marriage or your union, the partnership should be the one that rules and reigns as far as the decision maker. Because sometimes I will make the final decision. If we have a discussion about something, and you may feel like I know more about this particular situation, or I've done my research, and you're like, well, what do you think? And I'm saying, oh, okay, well, let's do it this way. And you're like, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? It's not always that you're going to be the one to say, we going to get this house, we going to buy this car, we going to eat this food, it's not realistic. And that's how most people look at it. And that's especially how most women view it. And that's why so many women fight against submission. It's because of the world's definition of what it is. So, I mean, don't nobody want to be submitted to something that, to a person's will all the time. Even when you go to a company, a lot of times when you work for a company, if those people don't consider you at all, nothing, your family, what you got going on, it's all about you, just an employee, you just just an ID number. A lot of times people start looking for another job because you feel like, you understand this is a job, but you still want people to consider that you have personal things going on in your life as well. You know what I'm saying? So
like I said earlier, we were going to talk about some things that submission is not. And the first thing is submission is not agreeing on everything. That's not what it is. Submission, you're not going to agree on every situation that comes up, on everything that happens. And because I think the thing that's overlooked when we talk about submission is that we are two adults living and doing life together. Right. Because of that, and God gave us all free will to make decisions, to say, to speak, to do, to be, and to act. Right. Just because you get married doesn't mean that all of a sudden you don't have an opinion anymore. Right. You know what I'm saying?
And that's one thing that submission is not. It's not sacrificing your freedom or your identity. You don't give up those things just because you get married and when I get married, I'm not going to be able to do. That's not true. You don't lose yourself when you get married. You know what I'm saying? If anything, you should be growing and getting better within that union, because when you doing life with a person, to me, like I said, I told him the other day, in my opinion, marriage is the greatest relation. This is the relationship that'll grow you up the most, more than anything ever. Because you're having to, again, do life with another person and compromise and submit here and change this. And you can't just be how you were when you was just by yourself. Because if you do that, then you're gonna be by yourself. You know what I'm saying? If you're not considering anything that they want or anything that they need, you're going to be by yourself again. So,
and then too, as the leader and as a head, you should consider the people that God has given you charge over. You know, even one of the things that I've learned in my 24 years, almost 24 years of marital experience is that you make a lot of decisions based on the people that God has given you charge over. You don't just do stuff because it's what you want to do. You do things because they're for the betterment of the unit of the group. Even though you may want to do something or feel a certain way, if it's not going to be of benefit, a lot of times you will make different or change those decisions because, you know what, even though I want to go 90 miles an hour to get to something or to do something, what is that going to tear up? What kind of issues could that cause in the long run? So instead of me, because I am 90 miles an hour a lot of times,
yes, Lord.
I have to consider my wife. I have to consider my children. I have to think about, if I make this decision, if I do this thing, what kind of ripple effect is that going to have on the people that are following me?
Right.
So you're going to be doing that. If you're being an effective leader, those are the kind of things that you think about. You consider the other people as well. You don't just piss in the wind.
Right. And then the you know, to your point, leadership is stressful. You know, to do it by yourself, you thinking her submission is just being quiet and just shutting up and not saying anything. But in that, God gave everybody gifts and abilities and talents. And with you saying, oh, you make all the calls, you know, you shot caller, you're missing out on her abilities and her giftings and
her wisdom
and all of those things that God has gifted her. And it's to help you.
Right.
But you missing out on it because you're trying to rule with an iron fist and you trying to, you know, be the HNIC. And it's like, no, I mean, and the biggest thing it's stunning her growth. Because I can't even, you know, freely develop in who God made me to be because I'm stifled because I feel like I don't have a voice. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Another thing, submission doesn't mean leaving your brain at the altar.
Right.
You don't become a robot.
Right.
You're not a robot in the situation. So just like what you were just talking about, when you think about in the Bible, in Proverbs 31, it talks about when it talks about wisdom, God refers to her as wisdom as her. So there were countless times where I was leading and ruling and doing all this stuff where she had the answers to stuff that I just didn't know, because sometimes, and it's funny, we were having this conversation just this weekend, how sometimes as men, we have a tendency of making things more difficult than they have to be.
God.
And I was able to see that and experience that in the world. And these were older men. And I just was laughing because she tells me this all the time. And it's just like, it's funny because now don't get me wrong, we'll get it done. But will it be done efficiently? Not all the time. A lot
of times men work hard and not smart.
Yeah, we'll make a situation harder than it has to be, where, you know, God might just be like, you know, if you just talk to seek the insight that she may have on the situation, or a different perspective from what you may think or normally say or do.
Right.
It could make your situation a lot easier. You didn't get with her because you didn't think about her or didn't value her.
Right. Exactly. And a lot of times people think that submission is you having, you know, one person having dominion over the other person, like they have total control, like this is total domination. And it's not that at all. Like, even, you know, in biblical terms, I can't remember what the scripture is, but it says that he gave us the man and the woman dominion over the things of the earth, like the fowl of the air and you know what I'm saying, like animals and stuff like that, not dominion over each other. We don't dominate one another we come together and rule together. You know what I'm saying? Like even with your children, you're supposed to be a united front. Like us together, the partnership is the head of the household. You know what I'm saying? Like I said earlier, you may not always be the one to make the final decision, depending on what it is. Because if you're smart, then you'll know sometimes that's a better decision. That's the better option. And not just, well, we're gonna do it like this because I said to do it, because that's not helpful to anyone in any situation at all. And then, you know, another thing, I was listening to somebody today, and he said even Jesus modeled submission for us because he was subject to his parents. Knowing who he was, I still got to go in here and, you know, do my chores and, you know, do what they say. But I'm like, I'm God. I don't got to do what y'all say. But at that particular time, because of the position of what he was a child, he even submitted his will to them, even knowing who he was. And like I said, that to me speaks to you submitting again, one to, you know, to each other, because I know who I am, he knows who he is, but depending on what the situation is, you will give up your will sometime for the good of the situation. You know what I'm saying? Who has the better idea? Which one of these things makes sense? Get all the knowledge and make an educated decision. I mean, people just make things so hard, and everybody makes everything so negative in today's world. But I think it's because we were all raised to think that submission was that. Be quiet, wash my drawers, iron my clothes, make me a sandwich, do what we need to do in the bedroom, and then I get to do whatever I want to do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what that is.
And let me say this too, because I know there are probably some guys that'll hear this and based on what Jamie is saying would say, you know, it sounds like, you know, she making all the decisions and everything. And the thing you have to realize in what she's saying, because your wife makes a decision, that doesn't change the order. It's a decision. You know what am
I saying to make a man think that she makes all the decisions?
I'm just saying I know how men think, and somebody might hear what you say and say, well, he submitted to me in this situation or this particular area. And what I'm saying is because your wife makes decisions or it's like, okay, this is the best way for us to go, or this is the best thing to do. Mm-hmm. You haven't given up your role as a leader because your wife makes decisions in your marriage.
Right. That ain't what leadership is. Because
the position is still what the position is. It's just, okay, you may be better or more equipped in this particular situation. And you have to be, and see, the thing is that in leadership, you have to know when to call in on your resources. If your wife is a better resource in a certain place, in a certain area, it would be prudent and in your best interest to talk to her or allow her to make that decision about that thing. But see, that thing of what I'm talking about mm-hmm. is checking your ego.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So don't hear it that way. Hear it into what it is. She's making a decision, but that doesn't mean because she made a decision now she in control and she telling you what to do, because that's not what it is at all.
But the piece is that I didn't make the decision. We made the decision together. We talked about it. We came together and we just decided to go this way this time. Mm-hmm. It don't mean that I just did whatever I wanted to do and didn't even consult you. This is that's the point of a partnership. Mm-hmm. It's to me like if you have a business, you're a business owner, you hire people, you put those people in place for a certain thing. So when that comes up, you're going to go to the person you hired to handle that situation, whatever it is. Exactly. And then when that person that you hire says, okay, based on this, because I do the dollars, I do the taxes, I'm the CFO, I'm the COO, whatever, this is this. And so since they made the final decision, then does that mean that they now are the CEO of the company? No.
Right.
It just means that they did exactly what
they were equipped to do.
Married her for, hopefully. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're choosing wisely and you're choosing correctly, you're going to want to put someone in place that can help you so that we can grow together. It's not just about, I'm trying to find me somebody who, she ain't gonna say nothing. She just gonna, let me do what I want to do. And I mean, there's no growth in that.
Right.
And it really is not sustainable. And you have people that have been together 40, 50 years. But when you look at and think about some of those people's relationships,
they suck.
That's not anything that I would want.
Yeah.
Long term, that ain't what I want.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I want a successful, thriving, harmonious union that's full of joy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And feelings are fleeting. I'm not talking about always, we always happy, but you can always have joy even if you don't feel happy.
Right.
Right.
So I agree. And so we'll get one more thing of what submission is, and then we'll move on to some other stuff. And so we're a little bit more on the kind of on the biblical side tonight, just because, again, like we said before, submission is a biblical principle. So we're kind of trying to stay in that vein of what it is and what its original intent was. This is a really good one. Submission is not putting the will of the husband before the will of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just get to do what you want to do, bro. I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there. Just because you the man, just because you married, we all have a higher power that we're accountable to.
Mm-hmm.
And so if what you're doing and what you're saying is not lining up with the mission and the direction of what the higher up says,
mm-hmm.
what God says about your life and about your situation, your wife is not she doesn't have to go along with that. You know what I'm saying? And some guys, and I know it and I see it and I've talked to them and I've called them out on it before, will try to take submission and make it manipulation.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly right.
So you don't just get to do whatever the heck you want to do and think that you don't have any responsibility or accountability because of that thing, because right. She just do what you say do and just shut up. That's just not how it works.
That is. But see, and that's the reason why you hear so many women today saying, I see all these memes all the time, I don't need a man, I want a man. But it's because of what in our minds, and I'm saying me because I just think the same way, in our minds, what we think having a husband represents when it comes to the submission piece of it, or when it comes to our rank or the order of being a wife. Okay, it's because we feel like we're second in command. And a lot of people think that, some women think that God thinks lesser of women because they think that we're supposed to be subject and subservient, but that's not what it is at all. God gave us, again, we are equal people. We just came second in the rank, but that doesn't mean that we don't matter.
Right.
So I hear a lot of women saying, I don't want a man, I need a man. No, I don't need a man, I want a man. And I want to be the type of woman that doesn't need a man. I want to be the type of woman that just wants a man. Well, sweetie, I mean, when you think about that in terms of life, everybody needs someone. And I'm not saying you need them as if, oh God, you're going to die. Like if you don't get water or if you don't get food. I'm just saying, like, we all work. Yeah, I mean, it ain't about what you can buy in a car and all this kind of stuff. I don't need him because I can do all these things myself. But everybody is making it about money and monetary things. But what about the things that you can't give yourself? What about those things? What about support, encouragement, love, sex, gentle challenges and a little bit of resistance to shake things up, to help you to grow into your best self. You can't get that by yourself. So
because you're gonna think you're doing everything right anyway. But
see, but even in that, you can't think you're doing it because you can't get it. You can't give it to yourself. Right. You get for instance, you hear people say, and you got to encourage yourself sometime. That's true, but that only goes so far. Because that's why it says it's not good for us to be alone, because there are things that we cannot give ourselves. When you feeling down, you need to talk to somebody, call your girlfriend, you need some encouragement. Guess what? You guess what that was? You needed that. So yes, you don't need them for monetary things, but you do need a partner for certain things that you cannot give yourself. there's a lot of things that I don't want to need. I don't want to need them either. Like right now, I don't want to have to need gas because we understand that gas prices are astronomical. It's ridiculous. So if I could not have to, if I had an electric car or something, but I need gas, like that's, I mean, it's nothing you can do when you got to get in the car, but guess you need it. So there are certain things that we just need. We need to work, right? We need food. And where are you going to go to get the food? You got to go to a restaurant or you got to go to the store. So guess what you need? You need the store. You need the restaurant. So there is a need. And it's just a way that people try to twist and turn everything to make it seem so negative. Well, I need my husband. Y'all soundbite me and put this all over social media, put it everywhere that it needs to go. Just like we talking about Shan Booty and Bodie, whatever her name is, and the other baby too, Jazzy. And everybody, it's going all around the place. It's going everywhere. Well, share this. I need my husband. Ladies, let's get back to needing our men, not for money. That's the piece. We don't need them for money because we can work. We can, kill the bugs. We can mow the lawn. We can do all of those things. But what about the things that you can't do for yourself? And yes, you can say, oh, I got my homegirls for that. Or my mama. Well, I don't want my mom and my homegirl for that because there's a different type of energy that comes from my husband, that masculine energy. It's just different. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. If somebody can help me say what I'm trying to say, there is a word I'm looking for, but it just escapes me right now. But there's a different type of energy. Sometimes I'll be, just going through something or going through that. I'll just be like, I need a husband hug. I just need, my husband to hug me or just encourage me. Sometimes you can be feeling the type of way and I hope that everybody gets a chance to experience this in their life. You can be feeling a way and then this person just come home or just come through the door or come to the room or whatever. And you just automatically feel better. And it may not be that you literally physically feel better, but you feel better spiritually, mentally, because you have this person, this support system. Like that's something that I can't give myself. So yeah, I need it. So y'all can say what y'all want to say. But the key to that is finding someone who loves you enough that you feel safe enough with to be able to say, yes, I need you in this capacity to that degree. Not that I need you to go out and pay all these bills and I need you, because it ain't, none of that don't matter because we struggle together. And really and truly, most of the couples that struggle together, those usually be the ones that do the best. Those usually be the ones that can kind of withstand a little bit more than these ones that feel like I had all this before you and I got all this and I got all that. And it's like, y'all missing the picture, because so what? Because what if you lose all of that? That don't mean nothing. You can't take a car, a Louis, a Louboutin. You can't take none of that with you. And at the end of your days, when you by yourself or whatever the case, we are always evolving and we're always changing. And the things that mattered then, it just don't matter now. As you start to be blessed with age and God continues to bless us, a lot of us have come through COVID. A lot of people had COVID and all this stuff. Like for me, like I was telling him, when COVID hit, it just gives you a different perspective. It's like the world just had a reset. So it's like if that situation doesn't change your mindset about the things that are important to you, and yes, money is important because we all need it. We need it to live. But how much importance are you putting on it when it comes to you finding a mate? And you all hear all this stuff. Well, I'd rather be rich and have money and be sad and hurt and him cheating on me than to be broke and in love. What?
Ask Jeff Bezos.
What? Are you kidding me? Because if money is your problem, if money is the issue, that ain't the issue. Because guess what you can always do?
Get money.
Get money. That's what the song say. Get money. You can always get money, but you can't get your peace. You can't always get your peace back. You can't always get your health. Where you gonna get your joy? You know what I'm saying? And people just, to me, it's just, I'm mind boggled. It's mind boggling to me. But, so I went off on a tangent there, but I just think that it's just sad to me but it's because of the submission piece, because so many people are afraid to be submissive because of hurts, pains, past traumas, bitterness, contentment, and you feel like if I give up my will to this person, they're gonna take advantage of me.
In fear.
That's what I said, afraid.
Oh,
They're afraid because you feel like this person is just going to
dominate
downright
and
dog
take
you out.
advantage of you. And
Exactly.
have you sleeping outside and everything else.
Exactly.
And then I think also too, another thing you need is to be pushed and to be challenged. And I think you mentioned that. Because the thing is, sometimes we don't know what's in us. And when I say push, I don't mean in an aggressive way.
Right. It's
because let me say this: submission does not apply to abuse.
Nah, absolutely not.
That's not submission. That's not what we're talking about here. But sometimes you don't know what you need, but sometimes a person that is a student of you and knows who you are can help you to see those things that you don't know and see about yourself. So I know one of my roles with Jamie is to push her. And in that pushing is to help her to be her best self, because just like she says all the time, marriage is supposed to be healing. And so there is a best self that's in us sometimes that's trapped in there, that's trying to get out, that we don't let out because it hurts or it's uncomfortable. And I always liken it to going to the gym. There's one thing to go to the gym by yourself and then you're doing reps of 7. But if you got a spotter or someone there that can stand over you and help and have their hand on the bench and say, I know you got 3 more in you. If you were by yourself, you would have stopped at 7. But sometimes your spouse is like your spotter, and they're going to push those things in you that they see, that greatness that's inside of you, that's just lingering and trying its best to get out. They're going to push that out of you because they see that, and you need that in order for you to be your best self.
Right. And something you said something about, being a student. We always talk about being a student of your spouse. And I know in the clip we played, Jazzy mentioned that she was a student of her man and she studies him and all of those things. And I absolutely agree with that. And I applaud that. The only piece that I'm a little concerned with is I don't know if they're married. So I don't know if all of these things that she's doing, because sounds great, being submissive, being a student of him, service and serving him and all of the things. I'm sure that she's respectful of him also if she's doing all of those things. But are they married? Is he going to marry her? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because we did a video a while ago about acting like a wife. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, well, is this who you are? Or are you, doing these things in an effort to ensure that he's going to marry you?
And you can't do that.
What if he don't?
It ain't no guarantee.
You know what I'm saying?
Because you can do all of that stuff, and if he don't want to marry you, he's not going to marry you.
But she said that that's how she is, that's her love, that's who she is.
Right.
So, sometimes people have a natural inclination to be away. Just, I would say to some of the ladies out here, just be careful about doing that and giving so much of yourself to someone who may not wife you or even reciprocate that same energy to you, in the end. So, and then another thing I was going to say is a lot of the stuff that we're talking about right now, I know somebody's probably saying, well, I don't do that, or my husband don't do that, or my wife don't do that, or and I'm not saying for nobody to get divorced or nothing like that, because we don't talk, but there's your life. But you have to also consider that you may have chose wrong. If you chose wrong, then all of this submission and all of the things, it may not work. It just might not work. It's like you taking the job, and that just happened to him. You took the job, and most of the time we know, like, it sound good, and they paying this, and they doing this, and I know I can do the work, but it's just the environment, the culture, the person, the hierarchy. It does not work.
Sometimes it's just not it.
It just ain't it. And everything seemed good.
They saying the right stuff. They doing the right thing.
Everything.
Yeah.
But that's when you got to check yourself and know, okay, some in me. Because I've heard, y'all don't understand how many times I have heard. So many times. I mean, I can't even count. And I always say when I talk to people, like, so are you, feel like you have peace about the situation, this person, whatever. And they'll be like, well, when you hear that, well, See,
And she said that on the video.
she did. She was a little reluctant
Yeah.
to say, but they not married. And
Yep.
I'm saying, so if he's not even doing these things now while y'all dating, you are, will he? But she said she can love people in the healing or whatever that is, she said, but just being careful about what it is you're doing if you because you may have chose wrong. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
And you can choose wrong, and your life will go a whole nother direction that it was never intended to go to in the first place.
and a lot of times,
Because we didn't talk to them people too.
and most of them say, I knew. Some told me I should have married him. Some told me I shouldn't have married her, but I did it anyway. And
Did
the
it
life
anyway.
has been
Boo boo.
tumultuous. I mean, it has been crazy. And it's just like, so at that point, what do you do? I mean, just know that listen, he said it earlier, these are biblical principles. They work. They work. I'm gonna tell you how I know it works. Because we wouldn't be together. No way, no way, no way, no way, no way. Because when you have two very strong-willed people, it doesn't even make sense that we still sit right here 24
the
years
statistics say we ain't even supposed to be
Nah,
married.
we wasn't supposed to get past 6 months.
Yeah, because we both be on our
I'm telling
stuff.
you, just saying. But this is the thing, when you are with the right person, and when you are imploring the mutual submission, the mutual respect for one another, it grows the relationship, it builds your friendship.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know, I don't want to talk to nobody that don't have no respect for me. You ain't my friend, and I ain't your friend. If you feel like I'm disrespectful to you, that's not a friendship. So if you can't even be a friend with someone, how in the world can you be in a relationship doing life with somebody who you don't have no respect for, and vice versa? They don't have no respect for you.
Right.
It just it don't make sense. It doesn't. Is there a comment?
Hey, Angie.
Hey, Angie, how you doing? Oh my God, I haven't seen you in so long.
Hope all is well.
Hey,
Good
say hey to the family.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in tonight. Talking about submission.
Man, that one right there. We talking about the big S words.
So let's talk. We talked about what submission isn't. What would you say the first thing about what submission is? What do you think is a benefit or a positive of submission?
A mutual respect and building a friendship. That's what I think that it is. I think that it grows your relationship so much to know that it's. And I always take it back to a job, because I feel like everybody can
relate to that.
Everybody can relate to that, men included. Because I always try to think about what men can. Right. Because it goes back to a job. If you are working somewhere and you feel like that this person, this job, this boss, this manager don't got no respect for you, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
And then this is the thing. Sometimes your supervisor, your direct report could be younger than you.
That'd be rough.
And the thing is, I respect your position.
Right.
Please know. But I'm also an adult, and what you're not going to do is disrespect me, but I'm going to give you the respect that you deserve because of the position that you hold. You are my supervisor. You are my boss. You are my director. Whatever the case is, I may be, 45. This person 35. And they coming over there talking to you like you 12. That's not going to work.
It's not gonna work.
It just don't, like, do you understand? I have children that's about to be, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not going to do that. So I just feel like when someone is able to submit one to another, even in, it's harder in a company because they set guidelines and all this kind of stuff. But even in that, there's a way to do everything. The presentation piece of it is key in everything that you do. Like I always say, I always give the example of eating at your desk. It might be that the company says, okay, y'all, starting, next Tuesday, we can no longer eat at our desk. And we've been eating at our desk for, I've been networking here 7 years. And all of a sudden, y'all trying to tell me I can't eat at my desk? Well, what are you going to do? I mean, you're going to just be like, I don't care what they say, I'm going to eat at my desk. And then, they're going to start that on Tuesday. And then when by Thursday, you're going to be fired. I mean, what do you do?
Just keep going.
Oh, okay.
So let me just say this, because I always think, like you said, the work thing is a very great example.
Right.
When a person, let's just say, for example, a woman say she's not going to submit. You submit every day when you clock in. I don't care what you say. you submit all the time. So it's not that you can't submit, it's that
You're choosing
you're
not
choosing or you won't submit. So you can do it. It's definitely there because you don't want nobody messing with your money.
to. Right.
So and let's just be real. Work and going to a job every day, probably 50 to 70% of the time, you doing stuff you don't want to do. And guess what you're doing? You're submitting to that situation. And in that, and because of that,
Mhm.
that's just what it is.
Right.
If you're going to be here, if you're going to work here, you're going to have to submit to whatever the rules and regulations are if you're going to be here.
Right. And that's why I say this a mutual thing, because if they say, okay, y'all, we can't eat at this no more, and then Supervisor Bob come over and say, get that food off your desk right now and take it to the break room. And you like, who you talking to? Who he's talking to, versus him saying, hey, Damien, don't forget, starting today we can no longer eat at our desk. So, if you want to, wrap that up and just take it to the break room. I know it's going to be a hard thing for us to, adjust to, but I'm trying to adjust to it too. It's a way to do everything.
Right.
It's about the respect piece of
Right.
it. Don't come talking at me like I'm,
a child.
Yeah, we
Right.
don't know.
And so somewhere near said submission to what we're talking about, submission in a marriage sense. That's what we're talking about tonight.
Mhm.
Another benefit to submission is it produces growth. It produces emotional growth
Mhm.
because it takes something and it takes more from you and out of you to submit, because sometimes submitting is something that's bigger than us. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because it takes a level of emotional maturity for you to be able to walk in and act in submission.
Right. And hey, Arturo, see, these comments didn't come up. Hey, girl. Hey, friend. How you doing? She said, y'all better preach. Y'all better come on and teach. Thank you, girl. This is trial and error. 23 years in counting. 23 and a half. We had 23 and a half.
Over half. Almost,
oh, yeah. Over half. Yep. So, but yeah, there's a lot of benefits to the submission piece. To me, I just feel like it just makes things so much more seamless, so much more cohesive, because again, you're doing life with someone. This ain't like I'm finna just be staying over here for 2 weeks so I can grit and bear and just like get through today till they build my house. No, this your house. You ain't going nowhere. This where you gonna be.
That's what it is.
So how we gonna make this thing work if we trying to make this thing work? I mean, hello. That's just I'm gonna give you just something that's just small. So for me, when we talk about men submitting to women and all that kind of stuff, and these like I said, this is very not a big deal. But if I ask him, because a lot of times women keep the house and they keep the house the way that they want to keep it. And I don't mean that the men don't clean up. I'm just saying there's a certain way that she likes the towels folded. There's a certain place in the kitchen that she likes to keep the scissors, and she like to keep the cups over here, and we put the blankets in this basket, and we put the ironing board in this closet, and all that stuff that she's basically taking the charge on to make the house work efficiently. So one of the things that he does when he follows suit as to what I've put in place, that's submitting your will in something that's small.
A great example.
Because again,
that's a really good example.
You used to keep your ironing board under the kitchen cabinet because it's close to the.
That's a big kitchen cabinet.
I mean, not the ironing board. I mean the iron. I mean, I used to keep your iron under the kitchen cabinet or whatever the case is, but now I'm like, well, baby, it makes more sense to let's keep the iron where the linen is and where we're gonna keep the ironing board.
What's linen?
The linen, the towels and the sheets and the linens. Don't be like that. But anyway, or if I say, hey, we're going to keep all of the mugs in this counter. We're going to keep all the pretty glass and the china in this counter. I want all the white stuff over here and all the plastic stuff that the kids use go over here. And what if he just be like, I ain't doing that. I'm putting this stuff wherever I want to do it, wherever I want to put it. As small as that is, that's disrespectful. If you know that I'm trying
spearheading all of this
and
stuff.
I'm trying to do this for us, for things to be cohesive,
right? For
things to be orderly. Now, if he comes and says, well, baby, I know you said put it over here, but if you think about it, it makes more sense to put these cups over here because this cabinet is taller and you can fit these in here like that. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. Let me do that. That'll be more. See, it's a togetherness thing. And like I said, I'm making it small because everybody has their own issues that they have to, come against, or, what they feel like submission is. But even in something that small, that's him submitting his will to do things the way that I feel like work more efficiently for the household, because he knows that I'm the one that's usually doing that.
Right.
Now, if I know you the one that's usually paying the bills, or you the one that's, usually, doing whatever, running the business or whatever, and you're saying, and I'm saying, well, hey, why don't we do it this way? And you say, well, it makes more sense to do this. But then I look at it, I'm like, but you know what? Have you ever thought about this? Because based on that, if you put this on this spreadsheet and make this formula, this every month, all you got to do is put this here, and it's going to, ta-da, it's going to already calculate itself. And you're like, you know what? I ain't never thought about that. Versus saying, that ain't the way I do it. I've been doing it this long, and this just the way I'm going to do it. So it's like, okay, so then you're teaching me, guess what? He going to do what he want to do anyway. So ain't no need for me saving nothing.
Let's hit these comments real quick.
Ain't no need for me.
That's what you said.
Oh my God.
You got a comment over there because we got about 3.5 minutes.
Okay, let me read. This comment says, from Artura, yeah, that's a great example of how simple it can be, but folks complicate it all the time, Artura. All the time.
All the time.
The complication is real.
For real. And then Hopeless said the IWC helps with marriage too. I'm not sure what IWC is. If you want to expound on that.
Yeah, Hopeless, what that mean? And then somebody said, what's the IWC?
So what's up, Neat Taylor? What's going on, fam?
Hey, Neat.
That's my movie buddy. We always recommended movies to each other.
Yeah, that baby
Horror
gets
movies.
so big. Finally caught you did. You finally caught us, girl.
Yeah, and we finna be off in about 4 seconds.
It don't matter. You caught us.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Hopeless.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, so we got about 2.5 minutes. I guess we'll put it. Do you want to talk about this some more? Or you think we kind of hit it?
I think it ain't hard. People just complicated, but I think we hit all the points.
So does anybody have any questions about submission that y'all want us to answer in the next couple minutes? What's up? Look, Jacqueline. Hey, Jacqueline.
Hey, Jacqueline. Tell Jonathan.
Hey, thank you for tuning in tonight. We appreciate it.
This leads so crazy.
Let
me see. What she say? Girl, I don't know. We don't know.
What's up, bro? Thank you. She said he tuning in with us too. Thank y'all for tuning in tonight. I actually put it out on Instagram. I wish we could go live on Instagram too, but it just
I don't know why I won't do that.
So anybody that's tuning in for the first time, please make sure you subscribe to all of Marriage is Real's content. Please share this. If you missed the other 59 minutes before this, everything is on our Marriage is Real Facebook page that you can go in and check everything out. And then we post clips on Instagram as well.
Hey, Ashley. Hey, Queen. I miss you, girl. That was my buddy. Hey, Ashley Edwards. That's my classmate.
But y'all,
thank y'all for tuning in.
Thank y'all for tuning in. Please make sure you tune in and share and follow. We need to get our YouTube up, y'all. So y'all go to YouTube and type in Marriage is Real and follow us so we can have 5 followers. And then Nee said, I know how to put a submission wrestling move on somebody.
Girl, listen.
You crazy, girl.
Teach me. Just in case all this stuff don't work.
She said, y'all talking about submission. I shouldn't have missed this. I gotta hear this. It's there. It'll be, as soon as we end, it'll be immediately on our Facebook page.
Run it back.
And you know you can always reach out to us. You family.
Run it back.
We definitely got you. So we're about at the end. I don't think anybody had any questions. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We'll be live again next week. We're gonna be connecting with King and Queen next week. So check us out there. We'll be on an hour early and we'll just see how it goes. But thank y'all again for tonight. We love y'all.
Love y'all.
And we'll see y'all next time.
Deuces and trays.
Swap on the track right here.
Peace.